Okay. Uh, Welcome everyone to this presentation on drawdown and risk management, part of our series to explain what can be done during tough phases. We are undergoing one right now, not particularly with many of our clients, but overall, if you look into other clients across or other strategies across marketplace and other, overall, if you look into the performance, it has been a very tough month. So this is how we're gonna have a flow. We're gonna talk about system trading mindset. Then we are gonna expand on tools for creating a portfolio. So previously we had done a webinar to how to create a portfolio, and then this is what we're gonna expand with correlation data. What is the hypothesis behind it? Intraday and positional allocation. What kind of position sizing is required? We're also going to talk about things you should avoid to do in DD. Specific traps that we all will get into when we are in DD period. And last but not the least, we have stories from some of our subscribers who have undergone DD, who have come out of it, and they have been successful in doing in creating their own portfolio. Any issues with the presentation, do please message me. Just because I'm presenting, I might not be able to get any feedback. So do let me know if there is any issue with the presentation, and if you're not able to hear my voice properly, just type in the StrategyOne group and we can restart it. So when we talk about the system trading mindset, we are trading a system. That's a basic thing. It's like a business. We have to treat it like a business. There should not be any emotion about profit or loss. We need to run it every day, and at the same time, because it's a business, we need to work towards reducing our costs. Our costs in a system that we trade is anything from a setup that you would have, an office you will have, to brokerage costs, to recurring costs that you would have for subscriptions of TradingView and things like that. At the same time, we need to start looking at things from a different point of view. Option premiums are like a glass full of water which is starting, which is start in on Friday morning. We are exposing it to atmosphere on Friday morning, and it is supposed to get empty by next Thursday. Now in between, there'll be overnight positions, there'll be decay during the day, there'll be moisture added during the day. If it is rainy outside, there will be moisture added, otherwise it will decay. Overnight, sometimes the decay will be faster, sometimes when on hot humid nights, the decay will not be that fast. So those kind of things would keep on happening, and that's what we have to understand. We start with a full premium on Friday, and by end of Thursday, that full premium goes away. So we have to start looking at things from Friday to Thursday, not saying that Friday is a good day, or Monday is a good day, or Tuesday is a good day. And that's what's been happening over the last 6 months. People found Mondays to be difficult, then Tuesdays to be difficult, then Wednesdays to be difficult. Recently, Thursdays are difficult. Fridays are more easier than Thursdays. Last week, everything changed. Friday was very, very difficult. So these are things that will keep on happening. We should always look into it from Friday morning to Thursday. At the same time, the rate of decay or rate of evaporation, taking that parallel example of glass, that rate of decay is not in our control. The only thing in our control is stop loss. That is something which will help control. It's a lid over our glass. This is something that protects our M2Ms. It might be that the water will spill over still, but it is trying to protect. That is a function of a stop loss. So we should respect it. We should not, fight against the stop loss as well. Last but not the least, brokerage is a cost that we pay to participate in the market. It's just like any business. They have certain costs to incur. This is something that we have. It's a cost to participate in the market, but it is not an essential thing to pay, depending upon your brokers and which broker you have chosen. So coming back to the tools, so we were talking about the tools. correlation is something that we introduced. Some other people had already introduced and they were working on it, but we're trying to explain the hypothesis behind it. Statistically, correlation is a measure of similarities between two data sets. Whenever there's a high correlation, the outcomes are similar. Low correlation, the outcomes are dissimilar. So here, when we're talking about two data sets, we're talking about two strategies, their performance on the same day. And then when there is an extreme correlation, be it a positive 100% or a negative 100%, that is not desirable. Positive 100% means that the strategies perform exactly like each other. Negative 100% means they perform exactly opposite to each other. So then in that case, when there is a drawdown, you basically end up paying. So if it's 100% minus 100% correlation, that means you're just paying taxes and brokerage, nothing else. And then at the same time, we've got something like a ideal range of correlation. This is something that people can define. We have seen it working between minus 40 to 40%. But this is only between two data sets. Now, we make a combination of strategies to increase the data sets. And there the correlation will again further improve. When you have 4, 5, 6 strategies, then this correlation further improves. And that's what we do with these data sets. Ideally, this correlation difference comes from different kind of setups, instruments, or indicators that are used, in the creation of the strategy. This is an example of, our strategies correlation data. This is based on live auto of all these strategies, and you can see, what is the correlation data between one strategy diagonally, and then you look at a horizontal version of that. For example, there's a blue box highlighted, which is showing a correlation between TMS and TMS Nifty. Apparently, TMS Nifty is part of Nifty, so the correlation will be high. It is not 100%, it is 84%. But between TMS and TMS itself, it will be 100% correlation. We have extensively talked about it. We can have a further discussion about these kind of things, in the Q&A, what is and how to look into the correlation between two strategies. So when we see something like this correlation, how do we, create a portfolio out of it? This correlation helps to choose the strategies, but how do we choose our risk? And that's where we basically trying to talk about, looking into intraday and position allocation. We define ourselves rather by a trader type instead of saying that I'm conservative or I am aggressive. The best thing is to look at these MDD risks that we have put out. This is the way, whatever is acceptable to you, that is the kind of trader you are. That is what you need to prepare yourself for. The moment you work with this, it will become much easier for you to envision these strategies, the risk is associated with these strategies, and then accordingly you can choose any of these trader types. We'll also put this as part of some of our already public data for you to have a look into it. But essentially what we're trying to say is, if you're aggressive, very aggressive, or fully directional, then you will allocate some amount of money into buying. It can be any kind of capital that you have, but ideally this is what you will do. The more the capital you will have, you will tend to be more on conservative side. So the scale will go from bottom to up in that case, and you would want to have minimum risk. Mind you, this risk that we are talking about is maximum MDD that it can go to. It doesn't mean that this is the MDD that the portfolio would have gone to in this from the current database or current data set. We also had previously a webinar on drawdown and risk management in April. There's a link of this video. We'll be attaching this, along with this presentation. And then there's a link of the Excel sheet, which you could use to create that, your own portfolio and everything. Now, coming back to things that you should do to avoid when you are in DD, we will talk about basic topics, over trading, over leveraging, and revenge trading, right? I don't need to explain everyone, what this is. But essentially, what we're trying to say is when a system has given, uh, uh, you know, a stop loss to you, an exit to you for the entire day, that's when we say, thank you, I'm not trading anymore. When you do that, then you're not over trading. Then you're not revenge trading. Then you're not over leveraging because you have got a portfolio in which some strategies will end early in the day if they hit a stop loss. Some will still continue. So if you try and allocate additional capital to to other strategies, then you're over leveraging in one sense. Now, when we are in DD, um, basically the system is outside a standard deviation of returns. And anyone who's seen a standard deviation curve, that happens rarely or for less amount of time, and it'll come back in this standard deviation again. When we are outside the standard deviation range, there'll be repeated SLs will occur. There'll be false breakouts. There'll be fake outs. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. All the wrong positions will be taken by the strategy because statistically we are outside the standard deviation. The more we trade, the more will be the chances of failure. And that's again, what I explained about revenge trading or over trading. That's what we need to avoid at the time of DD. Secondly, a lot of people try and change strategies in during drawdown phase basis recent PNL. Now we need to understand that similar strategies will have similar time of drawdown. They will have drawdowns at similar times, but when that happens, it might be some strategies doing better and some strategies not doing better, and you just change the strategy just because one strategy is doing better. Rather, we should change or switch the strategies basis the correlation data, not basis how it has done, in the past, few days. So if the correlation data is stating that the switch of a strategy is uh, is going to still manage the portfolio level diversification that we have got, then we should switch. For example being, if non-directional is not doing well right now, doesn't mean that we are going to switch that with directional strategies. And at the same time, when we see non-directional strategies doing well, doesn't mean that we switch them with directional strategies. And over the long run, over a longer period, both of these things will balance each other. And that's what we're trying to say when we're saying that don't switch strategies just because of PNL. Look into the correlation data, look into the portfolio before you do that. Another thing that people do is increasing or decreasing multipliers, assuming that there'll be a recovery and or there is a doomsday. Now, statistically, you can look into past data and you can say, okay, this is how much the DD lasted. But that's not true. It doesn't happen always. We don't know when a DD will end because a DD could become, even stronger because of certain market things. So if there's we talk about a particular issue with China, if that happens, then the non-directional which have been not doing well for last 7 days will still continue to struggle because the moves will be very volatile. Moves could be very volatile, to be very fair to it. So we cannot predict this. But at the same time, decreasing multiplier without a portfolio risk management is also very difficult. So if you have started with a wrong portfolio allocation and you've just gone too heavy on one type of strategy, that's where you should decrease a portfolio multiplier, not just because there was DD. If you are not allocated properly as per your risk, that is when decreasing helps. At the same time, increasing our multiplier is a hope, but there's no reality if it will happen or not. It can actually land you in a deeper drawdown. So something that we should always avoid. Another part is where are the traps. There are traps when we get into a DD period. And we wanted to talk about some of those traps. People get into traps where they believe everything is a doomsday and algos will never work. This is something that happened in April and May. People stopped deploying algos, considering that there will not be algos are getting stop loss. There's going to be stop loss hunting. That doesn't happen. We're talking about there'll be millions and millions of setups in the market. Actually, all algos are made out of these setups. Millions of these setups are different to each other, and they will have different types of DD. They will have different types of recovery. It's just that there is a phase. We need to understand it, manage it properly with risk. Another trap that people get into is a loss recovery trap. This is again very similar to the thing that we talked about. When you try and increase your multiplier, or you try and over leverage or over trade. Do understand, whenever a strategy reaches a max DD, it is in an uncharted territory. If you stick to the same multiplier or increase in hopes of recovery, unless it's part of a portfolio which is balancing each other, you will be getting into this trap of recovering losses. And the moment you get into that kind of a trap, that's where you would always have issues in terms of your own performance, your performance of your account, and then getting frustration. So that's something which we want to highlight that you should avoid. Last is creator or a strategy trap. Being a creator versus, we know it's very important for users to stick during the time of drawdown. But at the same time, this should not be because you have a sub brokerage account with someone and you don't have to pay any profits to them later on when you recover. You need to understand one thing, that they're still getting paid with that, but you are still in drawdown. So you have to look into these things objectively rather than just looking into that you will have a referred account. That doesn't mean that you just change the strategy. You look into it from a correlation point of view, from your portfolio point of view, overall risk point of view that you are ready to take, and then if it is a proper mix of strategies or not. So this is what we are trying to say. A creator or a strategy trap. A creator might not have all kind of tools that you need to get out of a drawdown, or all types of strategies. And most importantly, when things don't go well, it's important to have a portfolio level view and a tight cost management. So that's where something like a free broker always works, because the costs are minimal in that case. So even if you're breaking even in one of the months, on a gross basis, your loss could be higher if you're paying on brokerages. Concurrently, there is another section that we wanted to have. We have hidden some information which is basically talking about names of us and our strategies. The idea is to show people that how some people recovered from drawdown. These are messages that are straight. I mean, anyone who believes that there is no authenticity, we can forward, or these individuals who are there in the presentation as well, they can forward it themselves if they believe any of this data is not authentic. So what we are trying to talk about here is that people started with directional strategies of ours, went into huge drawdowns. How did they come out? They came out with a balanced portfolio. They added non-directional strategies. They decided to give it time and understand that DD was caused because of the market. And then they have had a proper combination of strategies which are diversified, and then they have been getting persistent returns. There's another user, which you can see in middle. He specifically was very conservative, and he got motivation to make a diversified portfolio. Every time there was DD, he will get frustrated, but then he overcame the process. And then today he's sitting, in September, despite high volatility, with a 3.5% green portfolio. Another user, he also started with directionals as well as non-directionals, but then slowly he realized that there was a drawdown, and then he was patient enough to allow the strategy to recover, and then he has increased his allocation with us as well towards a balanced portfolio. He's had only a 1.8% max drawdown in September, while he's currently at 1.5% return for the month. Another case study, this is specifically to a user. He's been, again, one of those guys who deployed Zip in May. He's basically, he had this peak drawdown on 25th of May at 83,000. He recovered from this drawdown. This is data that he's sharing for Zip as a strategy. So he's basically comparing the trading cost with the profit. So 8,000 rupees of trading cost till now versus profit of 120,000 that he's got. And then you can also see the capital growth. He has changed the capital to accommodate, Zap, which is another lowly correlated strategy to Zip, and has seen benefits of the same. This is his, stats related to our directional strategies. So, he's gained about 41% from GMP, 31% from Zap, 45% from Zip. You can see the P&L trend that he has got versus the net weekly P&L, in terms of the so the green thing that you see here is a cumulative P&L, and the red is a weekly P&L. So he has had some negative months, but then the cumulative growth has been there, which is also visible from these slides. This is the overall allocation that he has on the directional strategies. With his permission, we also looked into some other data without, looking into anyone else. So this is what he has done with our strategies. You can see, non-directional strategies have been struggling as well for us, but the directional strategies which you saw earlier, they were doing quite well. So this is basically just trying to show that how he allocated the non-directional portfolio and how he got the results in this, and then the P&L growth across a non-directional portfolio. Do understand in non-directional, because the quantum is higher as well and the multipliers are higher, the trading cost would be higher and the returns would be higher as well. The absolute returns will be higher as well. Percentage returns will be lower. So he's got a trading cost of around 60,000 versus 200,000, approximately 200,000 of profits. And this is, some comparison that he did, because so he's running two portfolios from XYZ or XX Creator. And then you can see the way P&L has grown. He has similar allocations across both the portfolios. And you can just see how, the portfolio has grown because it is a diversified portfolio. The initial period that you see is the drawdown because of Zip, that it was there, and the customer was kind enough to stay in during this period. And lastly, we've got many subscribers who have been fantastic with the system and staying with us in this system. So we are grateful to them, and we are also going to be sharing a token of our appreciation in form of this branded T-shirt. This will be given to select few subscribers who have been consistent with our algos and they have been regular with our invoice payments. We'll be sharing this information